Hello. Robin and I are going to do 5 assembly spots for you, and each one's going to be a story from the Bible, but listen to this. No way are we telling you where this story comes from, because when we finish we want you to go away and find it. So we've kind of called all of these stories, where is it? You've got to find that out. Here's the first one. You may have heard this one before, but I'm not going to apologise for that because it's one of my favourite ones to tell, so there. And it's all about a boy, well, a kind of teenage boy really, a young teenage boy. His name was David. And he was a shepherd boy, and you never guess where he lived. Yeah, he lived at Bethlehem. And he was the son of a man called Jesse. And David was the youngest son in the family who looked after the sheep. And he had got quite a tricky job really, because you might think, oh, it's easy enough looking after sheep. Well, it wasn't then, I can tell you this, because there were all kinds of wild animals around, particularly lions and bears. And David used to have to get rid of the lions and the bears, otherwise the lions and the bears got rid of his sheep, basically. And the way he did it was, he had a sling, and he used to pick up a stone and put it in his sling. I can't really do this properly, I wish I could, but he used to wind it round his head really fast and then let the stone go, and bang, he hit the lion, bang, he hit the bear. And I'll tell you what, that sent the creature packing. No way did they come round his sheep any longer. No, he was safe then. He got very good at it. Well, actually, he got a very good shot. He was a fantastic shot. Anyway, there was a war going on. There was a fight happening, yeah. And the people of Israel, that's David's people, that's Jesse's people, the people of Israel were fighting the Philistines, a fierce warrior-like people who'd come against the people of God and were seeking to make them slaves. And the Philistine army had brought many soldiers and had got a great camp on a hillside. And there was then a valley, and on the other side another hillside, and on that hillside were the people of God. So there's Philistines over here, people of God over there. But listen to this. The Philistines had this incredible champion, this amazing soldier. And actually, he was quite a weird guy in a way, because he was nearly 10 feet tall. There have been people like as big as that on the earth. It can happen. And this man was one of them. And he was called Goliath. Actually, he came from a city called Gath in Philistia. And Goliath was a dreadful opponent. Do you know what he did? Every day the army, the Philistine army, sent Goliath out into the valley, and he called across the valley, "Oh, you people of God, who dare come out and fight with me?" He used to shout that. He did. He used to say, "Never mind all the rest of your soldiers, keep them safe. We'll keep our Philistine army on the hillside. No, you send out your champion down into the valley. I'll fight with him. And if I win, you are our slaves. And if he wins, fat chance, but if he wins, we'll be your slaves." Right, back to David. One morning, David's dad, Jesse, said to him, "I want you to go to where the Israeli army is fighting, where it is camped against the Philistines, because your 3 brothers are fighting in that army and they need some provisions. So here's some bread, here's some cheese, here's some wine, here's some olives, here's some figs. Take this to them, give them this from the family, and tell them we're praying for them." So David, first he had to sort out somebody else to look after his sheep that day, it has to be said. But when he'd done that, he set off, and he went over to the Philistine army and looked across the valley, and there they were, all camped out. Well, what he did then was to go straight into the Israel camp, find his brothers, give them the food, and then say, why aren't you fighting? They said, well, we're not fighting because, here he comes again. David said, what are you talking about? Here, who comes again? They said, listen, look, watch, see what's happening over on the other side of the hillside. And guess what was happening? Yeah, you know what was happening. Out came Goliath. Same old thing, shouting at them. Come on, who dare fight me? You're supposed to be the people of God. You haven't got much of a God if none of you dare come out and fight me. Come on, I'll show you what I'll do with your God. I'll kill whoever comes. And he went on and on like this. David was so angry. He said, how dare he? How dare he do that? And the brothers said, he does that every day. None of us dare go out and camp. David said, I'll go. They said, don't be silly. He said, I'll go. They said, you can't do that. Look at you. You're not big enough to fight. You're not used to fighting. They then took him to the king, King Saul. King Saul was camped out with the army as well. They said, our brother says he'll go out and fight against Goliath. King Saul said, you cannot do that. You're nothing but a boy. David said, oh, great king, listen to me. I look after my father's sheep. Sometimes a lion or a bear comes and tries to take them. And I take my sling and I kill the lion or the bear. Or at least I frighten it away. God is with me. If I can kill the lion or the bear, I can stand against Goliath in the name of our God. Well, Saul was really impressed. And he said, come here, boy. If you're going to do that, then I want you wearing some armour. Now look, this didn't work, right? Because I've told you, he was only about 14 or 15 years old. And as soon as he put the armour on, it couldn't move, it didn't fit him. And it was so heavy. Actually, he did say to King Saul, I can't even walk in this. Oh, great king, I can't cope with it. So they took the armour off him. I mean, they had to. And they said, well, what will you do? He said, I would take my sling. And he walked off. He walked off down into the valley towards where Goliath was screaming how he was going to kill whoever came out. And he was going to kill them because he didn't rate any of their soldiers and he didn't rate their God. This was the living God he was speaking about. He walked into the valley, did David, and as he was going, he picked up 5 smooth stones and he put them in a pouch that he had across his chest. When he got fairly close to Goliath literally fell down laughing. He just laughed at him. Who have you sent against me? Look at me, Goliath of the Philistines, and you send this boy to fight me? You must be mad. Your God's nobody to send if he sends him. Well, instead of David running away, and honestly, I think I might have wanted to, David said, you listen, I see you have on great armour. I see you have on a helmet, you have a shield, you have a sword, you have a spear that's like a fence post. I see all those things, but I'm telling you, Goliath, you might come to me with sword and spear, but I come to you in the name of the living God. Then he took one of his stones and he put it in the sling. And he wound the sling around and around his head and he let that stone fly. There was one place on the face of Goliath that had no armour. Here, in the centre of his forehead, that is where the stone struck. Bullseye. Goliath faltered. Goliath tottered. And Goliath fell. Then Then the young David walked over to the great fallen giant of a man, took Goliath's own sword and cut off his head with it. All the Philistine army turned tail and ran. The people of God were safe because a teenage kid, believed that God could hold on to him and bring him victory in his name. It's the same God, you know, who sent Jesus. Jesus was that same God's son. Yeah. He fought a giant. The giant of death. The giant of sin. He fought that giant on the cross. He looked weak, just like David did. But look what God did. Seems, you know, whenever we trust God, whatever kind of giant we think we're facing, God will prevail. That means he'll come through for us. He won't leave us on our own. Reminds me of a little song. I used to sing this to my kids at school. Will nobody fight? Will nobody fight? Will nobody fight this man? Does nobody care? Is nobody there? Does nobody think they can? He's quite an enemy, I won't deny, built like a battleship and 10 feet high. But God's name will perish if we just don't try. Will nobody fight this man? David did it. You go away, find the story. I'm not telling you where it is. You can find it out. Bye for now.